G'day, I'm Steve. G'day, Steve here, Woodworking Masterclass. Look, it's that time of year when you're getting jobs done around the house, and we've just put a bit of veranda on the house, and I've got all these offcuts of hardwood decking. And so what I've done, I've cut them all to certain lengths, so I'm going to make three very, very easy DIY projects for you to do. It's a pity to let this stuff go to waste, so why not be creative and turn it into something that will be useful and lend to the ambience of the veranda you've just built. So what I'm going to do is 2 planter boxes, 1 pot stand, 1 planter box, and a little side table for the barbecue. Now, to get things started, we've got to make a very, very basic jig, because there's a lot of drilling holes in these short bits so we can put them together. Well, the way I came up with these measurements was twofold. One, the parts that I had left, and secondly, the size of the pots that I want to put in it, or the height of your barbecue. So they're not set in concrete, it's the process is important, and it depends what scrap you've got left. So first of all, we've got to make a jig. Now this one I've already made, but I'll show you how it's made. It's just a piece of offcut, 2 smaller pieces of offcut, and what you do is get the timber that you're using, place it between the 2 smaller bits, and then screw them down. Now I just leave it so it's just a fraction loose, about 1/2 millimetre or a 1/16 of an inch, say. There's a little bit of wobble there, and that's fine. Next, get 2 washers. These are star washers, but it doesn't matter, any sort of washer will do. And then place another board on top, and I purposely have done this as rough as you like, because I want to show you how useful it is, and you don't have to be super precise. After all, this is a DIY project, it's not fine furniture. But believe me, in fine furniture, I do get a lot more precise and accurate with my measurements. So, get another piece, drill 2 clearance holes, put the washer over the screws, and screw it into the rest of the assembly. Now the reason I put those 2 washers in there was because if I didn't, when I put this board in, it would jam and it wouldn't slide, but the 2 washers gives it just enough clearance so it'll slip through. And in fact, if you notice, I purposely didn't line this up. The reason for that is I'm going to use this piece here to clamp onto the bench. Now to get the clearance holes I need, grab hold of a piece of the timber you're using and line it up so the outside edge lines up with this top board. Draw a mark across. Now providing the 2 drill holes you put in here come between that line, they're going to be fine, because it means they're going to line up with the width of these pieces of timber. And that's it. I use the screws I'm using a 11/64 drill bit for clearance. And as you can see, I just drill 2 holes in there, don't measure them. Now when it comes to getting all these screws drilled, here's the side of the planter box. I slide it in, up to this edge here. And then I just hold that with my fingers. You can kink the board a little bit so it doesn't slip, or you can just put downward pressure on it. And then you just drill straight down. Be careful not to drill through your bench. Spin it around, line it up again, Another 2 drills. And there we have 4 holes at the right spacing. So I'll just do a couple more of these and we'll get a side done. These are the legs to the pot stand, and if you've got ribbing down, work out, do you want the ribbing on the outside or the inside? In this case I want the ribbing to go on the inside. Get hold of one of the bits. Don't even need squares or rulers or anything. Use the straight edge of this timber up against the leg. Slide this piece in so you know that's square. Then slide it up so it's square with the top. So we know it's square there. Feel square with my hand, but just to double check, I'll put that there. Then we know that's square. And all I'm doing here is just putting a pilot hole, because this hardwood is very, very hard and can split quite easily. So change over from a drill to a screwdriver bit. These are 8 gauge 35mm screws. These are galvanised because this is going to be on the outside. Now, when I drilled that bit in, I felt it move a little bit. So I'll just get this bit of timber again, line it up. That's pretty good there. Drop this one in. And do exactly the same to this side. There's the start of the pot stand. Next, another bit of scrap timber, same width, or we'll use this bit. Place it in front of that one. Another bit. Square it up, and that'll give you your spacing you need. And generally with your fingers you can find out if it's even or not. But if you're concerned, put a straight edge up to it. Then I drill 2 pilot holes diagonally. Pop in 2 screws. Keep tension between this and this spacer. So that's going to hopefully minimise any movement that it does have. Pull it out one more time. There you are. It's one side of the planter box. Do exactly the same, so you've got 2 sides. Now what we have to do is put some sides on it and it'll be ready to go. Put a little jig out again. What I've done with the one I'm doing is I made all the sides the same, but it's not going to be dead square, and I'll show you why in a minute. I'll just put the last couple of holes in here. Line it up. Whoops. Very hard to drill a hole with a screwdriver bit. Well, I tell you what, it's even harder to try and put a screw in with a drill bit. Okay. Okay, that's 4 of them. The next bit I'm going to do by eye, and I'm just going to line up between these centres here. So instead of having 3 bits, you could have 3 bits if you want, but I actually want 2 bits because I haven't got that much waste. So I'll put 1 bit there and 1 bit there, and I'll do it by eye. And what I'm going to do is I'm not going to drill into the end grain of this timber. I'm actually going to drill into the leg itself, because the end grain is going to be prone to splitting. So if I drill through the long grain, it's going to hold a lot better. And again, I'm just eyeballing this to see how we go. One in there. And I'll put a screw in to hold that in place. And I'll put the second one in. Use a piece of timber here. Make sure I've got it nice and square. Looks pretty good to me. Another pilot hole. Now get the other leg, pop it in vise or whatever you got to hold it. You do have to take a measurement here, but you don't need a measuring tape. What we'll use is a scrap piece of timber, and what I want is the length from here to here. So there's two ways you can do it. One, you can line these pieces up here, put a bit of timber and just mark it across. Another way would be piece of timber along there, mark on the underside on a scrap piece, and then when you come over to this piece, you just turn it over, make a mark, and away you go. So now what I've got to do, see, I've got this mark here, I can line up the edge of this with this mark here, which is pretty close to that. Put a pilot hole in. I'm going to drop a screw in. Just see how square that is. Pretty good. That's pretty good. Pop another one in. That's basically it. And then as before, put a piece of the timber you're using there to give you the gap. Slide this one up. Pilot hole. Pilot hole on the diagonal. And with this one, just make sure you pull it up to your, see how that's rattling? I want to pull it up so it doesn't rattle. Pull that out. Put our last couple of pilot holes in. One there. And now do the same, most likely it won't even need it in a vise this time. The same with this. That distance that we drew on this scrap bit of timber, I'll mark that down to there, that one down to there, line these up. Okay, there you have one very nifty pot stand that you can have on your veranda. However, at the moment it's not going to do you much good because it doesn't have a base. To pop these in, basically just divide it into three, and again, don't worry about accuracy, just it's a great opportunity to try things by eye and trust your instincts. Oh, this is hard stuff. It's got a little bit of a warp in it, but it really doesn't matter. And there you have quite a nice little plant stand. Now you can, if you want, you could have three up this side and three up this side. But if you've got particularly bushy plants and you want the leaves and that to fall over the side, I find that it's quite pleasing to have 3 on one side and 2 on the other. But the process is the same and the choice is yours. Likewise, if you didn't want it that shallow and you wanted it deeper, all you do is make sure that the longer sides go on the ends. So where I've got the legs here and these 3 sides, if you wanted the pot stand to be deeper, then put the 2 sides on the legs and the 3 sides down here. So then you can fit the bottom between those 2 legs. Because if you look at it that way, you can't really fit much of a base in there that's going to give you any support. I tell you what, we might just put a coat of oil on it and we'll see how it turns up. And there you have it. One very nice little planter to put on your veranda, to put on your balcony, whatever. But more importantly, it was made out of scrap. It didn't take a lot of skill and it was fun to make. So next off, I'm going to do a planter box, which is like one of these, only longer, so you can put more plants in it. G'day, Steve here, Woodworking Masterclass. You know, when I need hardware or any bits and pieces, this is where I come. Masters Parkinson, near Browns Plains in Queensland. But with almost 60 stores nearly Australia wide, there's bound to be one near you. So why don't you do as I do, go to Masters for your hardware. And if you see me in the Parkinson store, say g'day.